In a world where QR codes kill kittens and customer service is an oxymoron, one podcast has set out to make things right. This is the UnPodcast with your hosts, Stratten and
Allison King.
Look at that.
That's cool.
I dig that. Welcome, everybody, to the 200th episode of the show. Over-under in Vegas for the show was 6.
Yeah, I'm surprised we ever actually published one,
Yeah,
to be honest.
With our live studio audience, which I've always wanted to say, we said on the 100th one, we expanded. We blew out a wall in the studio, backed it up. I like to pretend they did this for us. I know they didn't, but it still works for us. And coming to you live from B-Town Sound Studios in the wonderful Burlington, Ontario. It's the UnPodcast with your hosts, Allison and Scott. That's all I got for today. Thank you for joining us.
That's all the content.
So this is such a cool day for us to be able to do this and have a whole crew of people. And you put the word out on Facebook and people show. They take time out of their day. I don't know why they do this, but they take time out of their day to come hang out with us. It's awesome. And it always blows my mind, no matter how many listeners we get, no matter if we're 7 or 6 listeners, we always, when people do something and take the time out of the day, it's very cool. So let's not.
Do you remember how many years 200 episodes is? Why can't I
It's
remember?
4, yeah,
Is it
4 years. Yeah, at least almost once a week for 4 years.
Yeah.
We missed maybe 1 or 2 weeks total. And for somebody, for a company here who's never done anything on a schedule, like blog post-wise or Facebook post, we've never subscribed to the weekly newsletter or the weekly blog post or we have no editorial calendar, that what we do. It's simply we do when we always said, when you have something to say it. When you don't. We hate forced frequency. We hate the fact that people are saying you've got to be consistent, meaning every week or every month. And you have to find that apex between consistency and quality.
I think
of
you've
content.
written 5 blog posts in the time we've done 200 episodes.
Yeah, 5, but we've done the same number of blog posts as we've done books.
Yeah.
Really, I think that's about it. Yeah, that really is. But look at the blog posts. So if you look at them, they're all epic. It's taking down Bell, Canada, for $1.25 million.
You're not going to be able to remember
reviews.
all 5 blog posts.
Oh, yeah, I will.
No, you won't.
Bell,
Yeah?
and then 4 others. They were written years ago, to the point that we actually, remember we took the date off the blog post because we wanted to realize when you saw the second blog post out of recency was 2012.
He's an author who writes about engagement.
Yeah.
Yeah. 2 blog posts. Oops.
So doing the show, so we decided that we're going to, we want to do, we do a podcast because we'd like to yap. And we realized that Allison and I, one of the things that I love about here, for those that don't know, I'm also married to her, yay me, is that I have the greatest conversations with her. For me, like, I love talking to her, and I still love talking to her to this day. And like we're married now. She doesn't have to talk to me. Like, she's just, and I come away better when we have a conversation. I get her point of view. She has her own points of view. She gives them to me, and I just like, that's a better point of view when I hear them. And
then he says, I have this great idea. And I'm like, that sounds very familiar.
I have a great idea that you said 2 weeks ago that I forgot. And now, squirrel, and then now, so...
I should run.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never said that for 6 years.
6 years, yeah. Now I'm running because I chose to. So I said, we should just have a microphone.
Yeah.
Right? We really should put a microphone between us and start talking. And so I took a podcasting course, podcasting A to Z or A to Z, depending on what country you're in, by Cliff Ravenscraft. It's a great course. He's a podcast answer man. He's great at his stuff. I took a 6-week online course, paid a bunch of money for it because I wanted to learn everything about the medium. And I learned it, did the whole thing, and realized I don't want to do any of those things.
Yeah.
Meaning I know, so I understand. It's like learning accounting and realizing you need an accountant. That's what you need to be better at accounting, is to find somebody better at it. So that's when we brought in our crew. We brought in the team to say, this is all the stuff, let's find people who can do that. I don't want to be editing. I don't want to be uploading. I don't want to be doing levels. I don't want to be doing the camera. I don't want to do any of those things. So we made it because we knew that out of the bottleneck of the company, its name is Scott. I am the one that stops the content because you are seeing it right now. I don't even know where I started when this paragraph that I've been saying now, but that's it, right? I'm the idea guy. We had one chapter in Unselling. I came downstairs, and I had an idea. I looked at Allison, and I said, funnel vision. And then I went back upstairs.
He went back upstairs.
And she's like, okay.
And then like a week later, I'm like, you read this, and there's 3 chapters, and funnel vision became one of like the key. Just runs downstairs.
See, I like the titles, but the rest of it.
Yeah, very good at.
That's a lot of work.
Very good at titles.
So we decided, okay, let's hire we're certainly proponents of outsourcing your weaknesses, hiring your weaknesses, and increasing your strengths. Yeah. And our strength was the conversation and the topics and what we could talk about. And I knew my strength is yapping. That's what I do for a living. And then we found the people who were strong at what we weren't. And it's Adam, it's Wayne, it's Steph, it's Kathy, it's everybody. We have James, who lives in Tennessee. He does all the post-show uploads, notes, links. And every Wednesday it comes out. And still, 200 episodes now, I get surprised every time a show comes out. I'm like, oh, yeah. We did that. And we recorded a show, and people are like, I love today's episode. I'm like, what? Somebody put out a show that without me on it? And it was just like, no, we recorded it 2 weeks ago. So I realized if you're the bottleneck to progress in the business, whether that's content, whether that's sales, whether that's production, whatever that is, you got to get out of your own way. And as lifelong entrepreneurs, one of the problems in general with entrepreneurs is getting in your own way, whether that's control or budget. You can't afford to hire it, or you don't want to give up the control or the influence of it. And I got no problem with that. I just love to give it away to everybody because I don't want to do anything. I just want to go, talk, come home, and then, nothing. Love it. Big fan of that. So, but that's how the show came about, was realizing, okay, can we do this in a way that, because also we would travel. I do the 70 dates a year on the road usually. We can't do a weekly thing. I didn't want to do it over Skype. I wanted the audio quality to sound like it was done in on radio. Like it sounded like an FM show. It sounded really clear. I didn't want people to. One of the things I didn't like about other podcasts is it's a very intimate medium, right? You're in somebody's earbuds a lot of the time, or you're in the car with them. Is that the quality of the sound really, really had to be there? You guys know if you listen to other shows, you will put up with okay quality if the content is incredibly well done, but it'll pull on you. Once a guest comes in on a Skype channel, it's not a good clear signal, or a cell phone, or whatever it's going to be, then you lose interest. And we realized we didn't want to do that. So then we realized, well, then how do we have guests? We said, well, let's not have them. Unless they could come to the studio, let's not have them. So we've had Chris Fries over there, our only 2-time guest in this room right now, by the way. There's Chris right there. The only people I would ever allow if I couldn't make it to come in and co-host my place.
There's like a co-host future.
Yeah, you are the Jimmy Fallon to my Jay Leno. Yeah,
there's a future.
Or my Jay Leno to Carson, whatever you take your pick, whatever you like better. So so we realized, okay, so no guests. And we broke the rules because in this course I learned to have a different guest every week, have one host and a set amount of time. We had no guests, 2 hosts, no set amount of time. And that's where the whole 59-minute thing came out of, which was our first episode ever was 59 minutes. We just talked until we were done talking. And the first comment we ever got on any show was a comment on the page of the show that said, 59 minutes, ? So you know he's serious. He says, I haven't listened to it yet, but 59 minutes? 4 more question marks. So to appease him and to realize how much we like to engage people, we when we started our production company, we named it 59 Minute Films, Inc.
In his honor.
In his honor. So that's how much spiteful we are. We legally registered a corporation after his comment. The best thousands of dollars we've ever spent in our life. So there's all the answers to the questions you're not even asking. But it got us to this point. It
evolved too, I think, over time. Like Scott was like, we should be recording these conversations. Because at the time we were using the conversations too to write books and plan out what we were going to do. And then like we should be recording them. And of course, Scott, is in front of audiences for a living. He had sat down in front of a microphone and given interviews before. He was really great on camera, used to all these things. And he's like, I want you to do this podcast with me. And I'm like, why? Like, I just don't understand. I understand why I write, but I'm like, why am I doing this podcast? And then he said, and I just want millions of people to listen to it, and we're going to have a 3-camera shoot, and I just want so many people to see it. And I peed my pants, thinking like, I've never even sat in front of a microphone before. I don't know how to answer. I don't know what you're talking about. And I just kind of was like, I guess, okay. And he's like, no, I'll make sure it'll be okay. Like, I'll walk you through it. And I'm like, you'll walk me through it.
Let's just go with it.
We'll just do it.
Oh, and by the way, I don't want to read you any of the stories before the show. I want to surprise you with each one.
I love your reaction to things.
Because I wanted her natural reaction.
So don't go on the internet.
That's a quote. That's an actual quote.
And I'm like, what the are you talking about? Don't go on the internet. Like, for how long? And I said, and I don't want to just be surprised.
The Blind Side Show, starring Scott and Allison. What do you think about this?
On one hand, he's like, trust me, millions of people will watch this video of you from 3 different angles. It'll be fine. And then the other hand, and I'm not going to tell you what we're going to talk about because I want to surprise you. And I'm like,
which
no.
in my head is brilliant.
So I had to tell him it wasn't a good idea about 20 times before he decided for himself, you know what? I think we should probably know what we're going to talk about before. It was a great idea, baby. Good job.
Yeah, well, what I forget sometimes is what happens here isn't what happens in everybody else's heads. And that wanting to be in front of millions of people is not everybody's
From
goal
3
in
different
life.
angles when I've never done it before.
In high definition.
In high definition.
I don't have a problem. I just got my eyebrows done. I'm good. Don't look at my eyebrows right now. They're in a middle state. Thank you. So
I feel like we should read one story.
Yeah.
Want to?
By the way, so this is how this show goes for the behind the scenes. Since we record once a month, and we do 4 episodes in a day. So before you guys came, we recorded 2 shows up here without the audience. It was weird. I was still talking to the audience that wasn't here. That was funnier than it got. The response, but it got as much response when the room was empty. So, which also was funny. God, killing me. So, what happens is we would record the 4 episodes, and we would, over a month, since it's a month between the shows, we would just collect stories. We have a running list on the phone of just links that a lot of you send us, to the point that we don't have to open the internet at this point, that every day, no exaggeration, every day, either through the Facebook or Facebook Messenger or the page or Twitter or email or the contact form, it starts off with, did you see this?
And like when United drags someone off a plane, like we just, our email is just like,
our world
unending.
lit up.
Yeah, unending.
And usually
messages.
and if it's a day or so after, a lot of you will send it in by saying, you've probably already seen this. Like, they know the hordes have already shifted all the stuff to us. And it's the only show where a brand doesn't want to appear on it. Like, that's pretty much how the show works, which is why I love it. So speaking of that.
Do you want to talk about this lawsuit, or would you like to go right into Amazon since our intro?
Oh, I don't know.
You decide. 3, 2.
Yeah, lawsuit.
All right.
Yeah.
So I have a story from the Consumerist.com. It says, which is something Scott would do, by the way. I'm surprised the story is not about Scott. Passenger sues airline for serving him sparkling wine instead of champagne.
Thank you. Exactly. Supposed to get 2 things: warm nuts, champagne.
I mean, like, Scott, we don't actually drink, but if those warm nuts aren't warm and on time, let me tell you.
Last week, Delta first class, cold nuts. Thank you, right? My people.
Says, sure, you may have a preference when it comes to ordering fancy drinks on a flight, but would you be ticked off enough to sue over bubbly? Can you tell the difference?
No.
I can't either. So a man is suing Sunwing airline flight from Quebec, a Canadian, look at us, Quebec to Cuba last year, says he was expecting an advertising complimentary champagne service as part of the travel package, but instead of receiving a glass of bubbles from France's Champagne region, he was served another kind of cheaper, sparkling wine, reports the National Post, because nothing else is going on in our world that the National Post should be reporting on, and therefore let's talk about this dude who's going to Cuba and wants his champagne.
I'm sorry, did you say Sunwing Airlines?
Not only did I say Sunwing Airlines, but I said that this was part of his travel package. It said in the travel package
sorry, dude, you're
that
out.
there was a champagne service.
Dude takes a charter. You should be happy to get there.
Right?
Landed! Woo!
This incident, which only happened on one leg of his flight, apparently popped his cork. Not because he's snobby, but because he claims Sunwing's advertising was misleading. And we don't like misleading advertising, but maybe this is a bit much.
Well,
there you go.
Because there was a picture of the ad there, right? It says champagne.
Not on
package.
here, but
no,
yeah. Champagne service, Sunwing Airlines.
Yeah, champagne service. It's called. Well, look, it's a phrase, right?
At Sunwing Airlines, we believe your vacation starts the moment you board our aircraft.
You know when you're in the club and you go to the champagne room, you don't expect champagne, right? When we're clubbing, right? We club.
My mom's here.
Yeah. You tell me your mom hasn't been to the champagne room, no? I guess that's the show for today.
Scott Stratten. So that's my story. What you got? Or you want me to talk about Amazon now?
You don't expect.
Oh, we're moving on from this story. You're going to stop.
It's just a figure of speech. All right, sorry. Yeah. You already lost by going Sunwing. I'm sorry. You just can't. Literally, it's just, come on. Now, I, on the other hand, need warm nuts. So, all right. By the way, Consumerist shutting down.
No, really? I didn't know that.
Site's done. Everybody's fired.
Did they?
Honestly, no, I'm not joking here.
Did they release a statement?
One of our favorite
something?
sites, the Consumerist, right, which was bought by Consumer Reports 3 years ago. Last week, shut the door, fired everybody.
And they didn't say why. There was
Consumer Reports said,
statement?
"Don't worry, we're regrouping, and we'll roll it out with something else later," which means never. Yeah, editor fired. I was talking to the editor. All writers fired, gone.
Wow.
It's like it's half our stories.
What are we gonna do?
I don't know. We're gonna have to break things and make them happen. I wrote to him can we hire some of the writers for freelance?
Yeah, we could use some of those writers.
Yeah, we need these people. They make our content. We need to get these people to us. Now, but the interesting thing about Consumerist, and we talked about this probably 100 episodes ago, but it's interesting because a site like the Consumerist has no original content. Kind of, meaning they just link to stories, but they have writers who write what you just wrote, the kind of the synopsis of it, the summary, but it's all stories that happened on another blog or another news site. So it's interesting. They're like the aggregator. They're the ones that collect the content and distribute it under that brand and that theme. So the stories will still be there. It's just harder to find now. And I love this. I've always loved this site, and I would pay for it. I would sponsor it, advertise it, but no, shut it right down. And they're losing their minds right now. The writers, they're just going off, no notice, no nothing. Email passwords all gone at midnight one day.
Wow.
Yeah. So the Consumerist is going to become their own topic.
I'm going to say maybe
the unconsumerist,
the wrong reporters to piss off.
Done. We need to find somebody to do that because I certainly won't. So. Ideas. So this is from TechCrunch.com, which we assume is still around. This is why Snapchat spectacles failed. I don't even need to read this article.
Not really.
They're creepy and they're terrible. That's why they didn't. But I'll read you what they say. So how come only 0.08%? Logo. How much 0.08% of Snapchat users bought its camera sunglasses?
I'm surprised 0.08%.
That's a high. That's a little rounding up. Hundreds of thousands of pairs of spectacles sit rotting in warehouses. That's a little much. After the company bungled the launch. I just think it's a bad product. They didn't. Anyway, I'm sorry. Let me give you the reasons they tell us why. They botched the rollout, they said. So when they announced it versus when it was available was too long. There was like a 6-week wait for them. Did anybody here buy them, by the way? Anybody here have them, the spectacles? If you did, you're not going to admit it. Cool. Smart. The next reason is, ready? This is the worst sentence I've ever said. Where were the spectacles influencers? Where is the influencers that will be... Oh, my God. To drive demand, Snap needed to demonstrate all the creative things you could do with spectacles and the cool people who wore them. By default, by the way, if you wore them, you were not cool. So you couldn't, it automatically canceled out your cool. They had few examples of great content. That's surprising. There was no great content of your head walking around, looking at people and spying on people. Creepy. People are still freaked out by camera glasses. Yes, because they're horrible.
Good reason.
Limited content portability. I don't even know what that means.
There wasn't a lot of storage space in your glasses.
Usability problems galore.
And they didn't work. And no one used them.
And they're bad video. Yeah, I'm looking forward to when, the next iteration of them. Never.
I feel like that article could have taken more advantage of the ghost. They were ghosted. Or
they were ghosted.
Graveyard.
That's why we're going to start the Unconsumerist.
I'm upset.
We would have written many better puns.
Yeah, totally.
Has anybody ever seen somebody? I'm sure some people have in this room. We have some of my uber tech geeks in here, and I love you. And take what I'm going to say next with a grain of salt.
That's a great intro. Whatever you're going to say next is going to be great.
You know, whatever I'm going to say
no
is
offense,
horrible
but...
right now. It's like saying I'm not racist, but you know what's going to come next. So the Google Glass and the spectacles and everything else is just like you're trying to force a technology that is not wanted or not needed. And the reason why we wear them, including why I'd wear them, would be to show, hey, look how forward I am, look how tech and hip I am. You go to CES or you go to South by, and it's just people, that's where they live. And you think, well, this is the future, and realize normal people have no need for them.
Normal.
Right? Us geeks, maybe. But I also, here's the thing, I feel that same way about virtual reality. And augmented reality, I feel the same way about that, which is in a limited aspect, sure, but in the grand consumer-based product and stuff, it's unnecessary and unneeded for the most part. People aren't asking for it. They don't want it for the most part. You think you do, and you throw on the headsets and throw up after going on the simulated roller coaster for 30 seconds. I want to play Call of Duty in Call of Duty. I want to be in the video game. I love the idea of it and everything, but everything that goes on top of it is just, as people in business, we have to think, does this have a lasting exponential impact on our business? Therefore, we have to make a decision to embrace it or not.
The tools are also still really expensive. Like to be
Huge,
inside Mortal, or whatever you said, whatever video game.
I'd go in Mortal Kombat. Yeah, I'd go in that too. Yeah, whatever.
Whatever video game you're talking about. It's just the tools, you're going to put all this money together to make this great VR experience or whatever because you think your clients are going to use it. But if your clients have to spend tons of money on the equipment, they probably aren't. Most of your clients probably aren't going to have the equipment.
It's like live, but it's also, I feel the same about live video, 360 video, is that in limited functionalities, it's smart. I loved 360 video of what we got from UNICEF.
UNICEF did like this. So you went to a Syrian village and you put your phone in,
Refugee
and they
camp,
sent us the Google Cardboard, which we had no idea what it was. By the way, I unpacked it, I put it on the counter, I walked away, I didn't know what it was until Ben, who's here, actually ran by and was like, Google Cardboard, and I'm like,
we had no idea, and we're in the industry,
and
we had
no idea what it was.
was.
And he put it together for me and put my phone in it for me. Like, I was so old. I had no idea how to work it. And he's like, it's really cool. And so, it was cool. And you could really see the village. Now, we already donate to UNICEF, so it didn't, we can't claim that it took us over some line to become donors, but it certainly was incredible. And for the kids, it was amazing. I think as a teaching tool, it's wonderful to be able to immerse yourself, and with kids, to be able to immerse them. And the kids ran around. They were like pretending to kick soccer balls and seeing what a Syrian village looked like. That was really neat education-wise, and I know a lot of colleges and universities are using them in programs to really show this immersive experience. That, I think, is amazing. But if it's purely a business plan, you really have to prove that it works, Well,
and obviously we still have the huge barrier to entry to it too, right? You get the high-end 360 camera, the one with like 17 cameras on it, it's still $76,000. Like it's still, and like terabytes. Like imagine, like Adam with filming and video, he's not paying attention, but with video and filming, you gotta understand, Adam doesn't pay attention to us very much. He just films us and then makes us look pretty. But he wants nothing to do with us. No, but imagine the amount of raw. You're getting 4K video from 17 cameras. It's like they said it was like a terabyte a minute. Like it was crazy the amount that was going through to run these high-end 360 to do the virtual reality stuff. And you're just like, nah. It's just like I can do most things on my phone. And you get this point of pressure saying, well, where are you adopting next and pushing next? Look, I loved UNICEF's thing. You played soccer with children in the refugee camp with the surround sound in your ears and everything else. But just to that point, most people wouldn't get to that point to put together the Google Cardboard, remember to plug in a phone, and then be able to walk around and be able to do it, and then to be able to press your phone within the glasses to start it. It's so counterintuitive that you forget you're dealing with humans. And humans, by and large, are dumb. I have nothing further to say, by the way. No, I mean, but overall, on a user-based experience, having somebody download an app is prohibitive just to start it up.
Well, because people are busy and you're asking them to do this. So if
and
you're
dumb. And dumb as well, though.
I'm not going to say that.
Thick. Challenged when it comes to technology? Like, give me a word that will work. You know it.
I didn't know how to put together the Google Cardboard. I didn't even know what it was.
I'm not meaning you. I'm meaning everybody else.
Well, it sounds like you're talking about me.
Yeah, moving on. So, but here's the thing. So when you have a hurdle of adoption, an adoption hurdle is just exponentially bigger than so many other problems. So it doesn't matter if the sound was perfectly surround in the virtual reality thing you sent out, or the mailing of the thing and open rates. You have an adoption hurdle of, do I even know what this is? Which is like, well, I hate to say it, but QR codes. And some of you know my hatred for these things. And now Apple announced the new operating system. There's going to be a native thing recognizing in the camera that just press on QR code, which is 6 years a little too late. And I always said I didn't have a problem with what QR codes themselves do. I hated what we did rolling them out because there was an adoption hurdle. And you guys, most people have it in most businesses. There's an adoption hurdle. And do we want to force, all I want in business is to have the path of least resistance lead to your wallet to my bank account in a business, right? How easy is it for you to do business with me? How easy is it so whatever that is. So it's not going to be, I need you to put this cardboard together, put your phone in it, download an app and play it. And by the way, stand still at first so you know where to set, and then it's going to set the things. Like, I just want you to, but I understand too, on the flip side, I watched a part of a U2 concert in the round. I sat on stage with them because I had the goggles on, and I took it off, and I wasn't on stage. I was in our living room, and then I was sad.
I think that,
but then I haven't picked it up since.
But I think the concern is also from the other side. Like, as a business owner, if you want to create one of these things, whatever it's going to be for your product or service, and you decide that it's going to be the most incredible thing, you're so excited. If you're not answering your emails, or your product is crappy because you haven't invested the time and money in that you're now investing in making some 360 video that maybe a tiny little fraction of people are going to watch, then it's about resources, right, from the other side of things. So I think that's a huge problem, and that not only is the adoption and all that stuff on the other side once you've created it, but do you have time to do it? Like, should you be doing it? Does it relate to your product? Like, U2 is U2, so they're going to get people to put everything on and go. But most of us aren't U2.
Yeah, well, they also forced an album onto your iPhone years ago, and I still haven't forgiven them for that. But still can't deal with it. But so we should have a Maslow's hierarchy of business, right?
Yeah.
Is your product and service, are people ecstatic with it on every level? Yes. Move to level 2. Let's talk about your website. When I click on contact, does it pull up a contact form? Can I actually use it? Does it play an audio?
Like, if
right
your
away?
websites, I'm picturing people doing VR stuff whose websites still aren't mobile friendly.
No, 1998.
That's
they
what
still
I'm
have a visit counter on the bottom. Sign my guest book. Get your own free GeoCities site. My geeks are in the house right now, right? Right, my geeks. Find me on ICQ, right? It's just like, right? Yeah. So, I know you guys are here. So it's like, and it does audio autoplay on your website? Go back to stage 1, and you go back to, and you have to only climb the ladder. And level 7 is, let's try new technology,
I
right?
think
And
so.
the whole way down is just, unless you are a technology company. Like, those are the ones that should be using it. If you sell multimedia services, then you should have those cameras.
Or I think the products that uniquely, I see it in real estate sometimes where we've seen it used well. You once did a talk for a furniture company, remember? And they had this cool, for people buying office furniture so they could see what the furniture would look like inside. And for some things, I think the product is suited to it. But if it's just because you want to seem like you have something cool, then you're really wasting
And the
resources.
best is when the technology is hidden. So when we went to your guys' office, right, and you were doing the photo shoot with the 6,000 cameras around, right, and how many shots was doing for one product, that's because when you put it on the site, you could do a 360 view of the product. You could flip it around, spin it. But it didn't say download our 360 viewer, and blah, blah, blah. It just says just look at the shoe on any angle. So the technology's hidden. It's just something, okay, that's so cool. But the product is what matters. If you had a crappy shoe,
you don't want to see it from all the angles.
You get to see a crappy shoe from all angles, right? Go back to level 1, and find better products first. And we're so getting ahead of ourselves because we want to. It's like QR codes. We didn't use them because they made it better for the path of buying to us. We used QR codes to show that we're using a QR code. That's what I go back to the spectacles. That's what I go back to Google Glass, is it's not the function we want. We want to show us using that function. And I'd ask most companies, well, how much usage did your QR code get? And they either didn't know, or the answer was 0, pretty much. Remember why I talked about a VP of consumer products goods at a company at a conference, a huge one. She said, I did my QR code rant back in the day, and she came up to me afterwards. She goes, that's funny. We rolled out a QR codes on our shampoo bottles, on 3 million of them.
So just you're in the shower.
Yeah, so right off the get-go, we got a problem here. Go back to stage 1, right? So
let's just assume you have your phone in the shower. That's your business.
Which is another question.
That's your business.
Of why?
And because you have your phone in the shower, obviously because you want more product information about your shampoo. That's why you brought it in.
While putting the shampoo in your hair. Let me see how this is. And so I asked her, I said, what was the adoption rate? She said it was 3%. And I'm like, 3% is the highest I have ever heard on a consumer product. And she said, no, 3. 3 scans. And I said, were 2 of them you? She's like, yes. So again, it's just like...
And do you really want that one person that brought it into the shower and scanned their shampoo bottle as a customer?
We
don't want that person.
No. You don't need to retarget them later on, except for help. So,
do you want to do questions or you want to do some Amazon stuff?
No, I think we're done this first episode.
Yeah?
We're full.
No questions?
No.
Nothing
Let's do one
else?
made up word, though?
Yeah, sure. I have a made up word.
Yeah, hang on. We'll get that theme music coming first.
Don't make any sense. Don't mean no offense. It brings laziness. What is all this craziness?
You know that some of our listeners made that theme song for us. So we had a section. Oh, you can clap if you want. Yeah, sure. Fire away. They're listening right now. Don't worry. So we talked about wanting it because we started getting, as Allison said before, the show is kind of, morphed into other parts of it. And one of the sections now that's been our most popular is the made up word segment of the show. Because it's ridiculous of words you run across and you're like, what? And then people send it to us. We get sent more made up words now than we do articles. And we get a lot of articles. So a few listeners of ours came up and they do this for a living. They make jingles and songs. And so they made us that jingle. So.
And usually like the made up word is like a bit of a mystery. So we'll say it and then we make people guess. I think this one is very clear.
Okay.
What it means, but I still want to say it because of where she found it because it makes me happy. So the made up word is Entrepreninja.
Ooh, that was close.
Sarah Johnson sent it in because she noticed it on a realtor's Instagram bio.
The only thing I dislike more.
Because saying ninja
pure.
wasn't enough. I had to entrepreninja it.
You immediately fired. Immediately, you're not trusting you with my home anymore.
Oh, God.
It's just not happening. I don't dislike realtors.
Petrus isn't here.
I just don't like them for what they stand for. No, it's their marketing I can't stand. Petrus was supposed to be our famous unrealtor, but he had a meeting, business clients or something like that called him. So yeah, somebody also wrote to me this morning and said, I can't come. I'm sorry. I'm sick. Like,
did you get a note from their doctor?
I'm gonna need a note from your doctor if you can't come to the free show. Like it's just like it was. She felt so bad. I'm like, it's okay. You don't have to come. And she's like, I get more donuts if you don't come. And she felt so bad. I'm like, it's okay. It's okay. I'm gonna name you now, but it's okay. I'm kidding. I won't. So that's the show.
Set?
So we're gonna take a to be continued break, and we're gonna come right back.
Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and visit theunpodcast.com. And remember, friends don't let friends use QR codes.